Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Burning Cereal is proud to present to you Pyramid Pan. It slices, it dices, it chops, it grates. What? Nothing? Nothing I've said. What does it do? It's a fat-reducing silicone mat. Let's put it through its paces and see if it will reduce fat. All right, so let's see what this thing will do. This is it. Just a piece of silicone with a bunch of little triangles on it, or pyramids. Oh, mine's torn already. All right, great. It says that you just put it inside your baking pan. You put your stuff on top of it. It's awful dirty. I should probably wash this first. So I just took some chicken strips, frozen ones, store-bought, threw them down on this mat. Now, from what it says, the airflow is supposed to flow underneath to cook the bottom side and the top evenly. It also says that you need to increase your cooking time by just a few minutes. I don't know what just a few minutes is, but I'll say 3 or 4. And it also states that you need to up the temperature by 25 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So these on the package called out 400 degrees. I set my oven to 425. It is now preheated, so we'll throw these in there. It says that they're supposed to go for 10 to 15 minutes, so we'll set it for the 15 minutes and see what they look like when they come out. It was in there for 15 minutes, 425, and it looks like the little mat curled up. Not that that really makes a difference. The thing I want to see is, how did it cook underneath? Well, let's flip over half of them. So these are all the ones where we can see the bottom. And that was the top. So it may need more time. The tops, this one does, feel a little crispy. That doesn't. This is definitely not crispy. I don't know if you can see. Let's see if we can get it up nice and close. That is definitely not crispy. All right, well, again, these that are close were flipped over. These that are, we'll say, separated, were never flipped over. Let's put it back in the oven for another 3 minutes. Hopefully that'll crisp up the top of these, but it'll also let us know if the bottom of these get crisped. So I'm reading the instructions on here, and a couple of things that it says is, disclaimer, like any cookware item, risks of injury exist. How are you going to hurt yourself with a silicone mat? Frequently asked questions. Why is there a little smoke coming from the oven? Perhaps grease or oil has dripped onto the hot metal baking pan. Wash your shit. Or there could be some residue on the pan. Again, wash your shit. You will notice that smoke will stop after the first few uses. Well, if I've got drippings on my pan, how will it stop after the first few uses of this pyramid pan? Curiouser and curiouser. Can the pyramid pan be used on my stovetop? Let me think. I have a gas stove, open flame, silicone. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Hell, let's use it on the barbecue. What if the pyramid pan doesn't fit the pan that I have? Do you own scissors? Problem solved. Really? Really? Okay, there they are right out of the oven. A little bit crispier. Not really that crispy. It's been 20 minutes now. The underside, that doesn't look crisp to me at all. Actually, neither of them do. This one's not bad. I don't call that crisp at all. So it went in 5 minutes longer than it was supposed to. It still doesn't look very crisp. I mean, you can, well, I guess as it's cooled down a little, it's starting to crisp up. But these definitely did not crisp up. Let's see how they taste. It's hot. Oh God, these are terrible. What brand is that? Fast Fixins. It is my personal opinion that they taste like goat ass. Okay, so that didn't go as planned. I thought they would crisp up a little bit more than what they did. That's probably not even a better result than I get from just doing it on regular old tin foil or a Silpat or something like that. But the other thing that I cook in the oven quite a bit is bacon. When I want to do large quantities of bacon, I'll do it in the oven. Produces just a little bit less grease, and I don't have a big pan that I got to keep draining off. So let's go and make some bacon. So you'll see I washed this mat, but it's really not that easy to clean. I don't know if you can see it, but there are little black specks in here, and that's from the chicken that we just made. I cleaned it as best I could, tried to dry it. It's still pretty wet, but let's throw some bacon on here. And normally when I do a bigger breakfast, I'll put, you know, a lot of bacon in here, and it can touch because once it hits that oven, it should start to shrink up a little bit. If it's touching when it comes out, I don't really care. I'm still going to eat it. See how many we can get in here. We can usually get about 8 or 9 in here. Let's just go with that. 7's good. So I'm going to put this in the oven. Normally I do it 400 degrees for 15 minutes. Again, it's still at 425, so we're going to put it in there for 15 minutes. I want to keep an eye on it. I don't want it to smoke. All right, so I noticed one thing. While we were doing the whole bacon thing, I had the chicken sitting on a plate. It finally got crispy. It feels like it should. So maybe you got to let them sit for a little while. I'm not going to taste it because it's still going to taste like goat ass. So that is 15 minutes in the oven. There's a lot of oil produced, or grease. You can see it pooling. It has hit the edge of the pan on this side. It's probably, hopefully not running under. And it is, you can see it under there. But this isn't nearly as done as I'd like it to be, so I'm going to put it back in for another 5 minutes and see what happens. Okay, so that's 20 minutes in there. Probably could have survived at about 17 or 18. I'm sure they'll stiffen up once they cool off. you'll notice that a lot of the fat, I don't know whether we'll call it drained off, but it ran off. There's a few spots here that aren't as done as the other end. But let's get these off of here and see what we're talking about, the grease. If I would have done these in the oven the way I normally do them, I put them on like a cooling rack on top of a tinfoil lined tray like this. That way they're elevated, you know, a good half an inch above all of this, because even with this pan, they were still sitting in this pool of grease. And let's see how well it did in keeping the grease off the tray. See it? There's even grease underneath. So it ran underneath here somewhere. I don't think it was from the cut, because this area here where the cut is still very dry, but I don't know if you can see this. There is oil there. I'm not saying it didn't do what it said it was going to do. It did. It cooked bacon. It took about 4 minutes longer than what it normally does when I do it. They're still sitting in the grease. I'm not sure how easily this black stuff is going to come off. And I'm also not 100% sure as to how I'm going to get all of this grease out into a bowl or a cup or something. I guess we'll just have to pour it, which means we're still going to have to clean up this pan just as if we normally would. If this was tinfoil lined, I would just fold up all the tinfoil and throw it away. So, my opinion, this mat didn't save me any time on cooking or cleanup. Okay, so the bacon is done. There it is right here. Right there. And it cooked it. It's bacon. Tastes like bacon. Well, it's not as crispy as I would have hoped after being in the oven for 20 minutes. Why is that one? Oh, I guess it's just depending on where you hold it, but I don't know. I like my bacon a little bit more crispy than this. And to be perfectly honest with you, if I would have cooked this same bacon in the oven using my method, which is a pan, a tray, a rack of some kind inside there. I use a cooling rack. I lay the bacon on top of that. If I would have baked it for the same amount of time, this would have been black. So, to me, am I sold on this thing? No, I can do the exact same thing just using tin foil or silpats or parchment paper, and I could have saved myself $15. But I'll tell you this, I'm not going to return it. I'm going to keep it. Because there is one thing that it's great for. When you cook, you chop a lot. This, I'm putting pressure on here. This will cause you to cut off a finger. If you're sitting there slicing an onion and this board moves, this hand is not going to move. This hand is. You can lose a thumb or a finger really easily. But watch this. If I lay this mat down, it's not really going anywhere. It might move a little bit, and that's probably because it's still wet. But if I'm chopping, this is not really going to move anywhere. That's just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, and we'll see you next time.